You there? I'm gonna go up and get ready, okay?
Okay.
Wait at the bar for like 5 minutes and then follow me up, okay?
Okay.
Okay.
Do me a favor and just have a seat right over there on the other side of the bar. How's it going?
All right.
Did you find a place to park okay?
Had nothing to do. I figured we'd just
Have you,
a mutual breakup.
and how about dating and things since then? Do you have relationships? Have you had any recently?
Yeah, I mean a few here and there. Yeah.
What was the last one?
I mean, I had a short one over the summer, a couple months.
How old was she?
All the one.
The adult woman.
Yeah.
Have you, met or chatted with or visited younger girls before?
Younger, yes, but I mean,
What's your, I don't know, younger than me is probably in their middle 20s. From my standpoint, I'm a little bit older than you, but what's younger to you?
I mean, yeah, I've dated girls in their 30s and 20s.
And, I mean, this wasn't, I'm sure, the first time you met a girl who was purportedly 12 or so years old, right?
What would you say?
I said, I'm sure this isn't the first time you either chatted with or met with a girl who was, supposedly 12 years old.
I believe it was the first time.
It was? Is that what you're saying? It was the first time? I mean, I don't know. You may have an issue or a certain fetish or attraction to younger girls. You probably would do.
I've never met.
I can't cast
I've
them
never
yet.
got to meet a girl. Teenager.
Never
something? Have a good one.
I didn't think it was against the law to meet with somebody and just hang out and talk to them.
But you probably, I mean, I don't know you.
Is
Maybe,
it? Is it? Just like hang out with somebody?
to hang out?
If I had sex with her, yeah, that would be against the law. But they didn't
Okay,
do
so
that.
let's just take a step back. So let's just say you never got divorced from your wife, and you had a daughter. You said it was 10 years ago, right? You were thinking you got divorced. So let's just say, as a result of that marriage, you had a
Hello.
daughter or a son who was
See you later.
10, 12, 13 years old. And it's Friday night, and you and your wife, hey, honey, hey, whatever your daughter's name is, Caitlin, we're going to run out to dinner and stay out a little bit late. You can stay at home and
Good day
come
to you.
find out. They walk in.
What
There's
can I
a
help you with?
44-year-old guy from
Life
know,
bless you.
200 miles or 100 and something miles away.
Greetings.
Is everybody cool with that? You're cool with that?
Well, obviously, at first.
Go with honor,
At
friend.
first, no.
At first?
Yeah, when they first walk in, it's not going to be. It's not going to be.
What can I
cool.
do for you?
But if it was somebody like me, I don't think there's.
Life bless you.
But how do they know what your intention is? You're talking about blowjobs and picks.
Yeah, they
and
don't.
other issues. You're not talking about maybe some common interest of music or sports, which is also. I mean, the whole thing would be weird. I think just about everybody would think. I think you actually would too. It's unhealthy and strange. A 44-year-old guy, what's he got in touch with, in common with a 12 or 14-year-old girl? And why, if he lived in a big metropolitan area, would he drive whatever the distance was, 2 hours away on a Saturday night?
Isn't that all speculation?
To me,
I mean, it's
what's
like
the speculation? I'm looking at this thing. It's like,
you're speculating that I was going to have sex with her tonight.
because that's what you said.
I didn't say that.
You didn't say that? Well,
No.
tell me what you said.
Well, we talked about having sex, but that doesn't mean.
Isn't that strange?
Doesn't mean I was going to tonight.
Well, yeah, tonight, maybe tomorrow, maybe next week.
Maybe when she's 16.
But where's that in the conversation?
I don't know. It might be.
Did you mention that?
No,
I didn't think you did.
It might be in there. I mean, I mentioned that I was looking. I looked into like the laws and stuff about minors. I was looking into it. I was
Why
curious.
would you do that?
No, because I was going to meet a minor, and to hang out with them.
So you knew there was an issue.
There was
Otherwise, you wouldn't research it. Right?
Yeah, but does it? Well, I mean, there's an issue if you do this and this and this.
I need to get closer.
But
I can't pass that yet.
and this is just I was looking, I was just like looking down the road, like let's say I did like her and she liked me, why not? I mean,
But this is somebody you've never met before.
I know. I was just thinking out loud, looking at the big picture. That's all. Doesn't mean I was going to like do what I was going, what I was.
Is that like your, lack of a better description, like your cup of tea, like you want some very young girlfriend or bride? So is that like some fantasy you have? Which is fine if that's what your fantasy is. I just want to know where you're coming from.
I took a liking particularly to her, and she happened to be
This is through all like, chatting or texting, right?
exactly
Somebody you never even met.
correct.
So for the sake of talking, it could have been. It wasn't, but it could have been me posing as this girl. You wouldn't know who you're talking
Could have
about.
been, yeah. Could have been.
It's not like you saw her or spent time with her.
Well, that's why I came down is to see if I had a connection with her.
Good day to you.
If you, what was your name again?
It's Detective Kelly.
See you around.
If if you read all the text, I don't know if you read all of
I
it.
did not, and I probably can't digest them all right now,
Sure.
but I'm starting to try to look here.
I'm sure.
Good.
But if you read a lot of it, the exchanges between me and her, I was always aware and scared of any consequences if I was to do something wrong, like if I was to have sex with her. And to be honest, yeah, of course, like, from what I saw, she's, beautiful and everything, but I was not going to Well, see, I get it. I get it. You know, you guys.
We're trying to protect the innocent and
That
the
spell isn't ready.
vulnerable, right?
No, but
Just like when you were that age and I was that age, you wouldn't want some guy, attacking you.
If he's dangerous, yeah. Of course not.
Or maybe he just has bad
I'm
intentions.
out of range. That's
When you
still
were 12 or
recharging.
14 years old, if there was some guy in your life, or appeared in your life, who's in his 40s, and is talking about having sex with you and different things, isn't it your parents and the police and the school system's job to kind of protect you from that person? And sometimes if you're not being like totally honest with your parents or community people, the only alternative sometimes we have is to do like sting type operations like this, so we'd never catch anybody. Because you're not going to tell anybody. You're so paranoid about it. You're researching the statutes.
I need to get closer. I can't cast
Right.
that yet.
Right.
And I'm sure in here there's probably conversations with
And then what
a
if
girl about you didn't tell anybody about this, right, or something like that, because you're afraid of and you didn't go when the
I
parents
can't
were
loot that
home.
right now.
If it's wonderful, then yeah, if your parents are home, that's great. I'd love to meet them. No, your parents aren't home, right? Kind of thing. They're away. They're not coming home. Whatever. You with me?
Yeah, I'm with you. Yes. Just.
And I think this probably goes back a long time. This did not happen overnight. I'm a little bit older than you.
That's
And
still
whatever
recharging.
my makeup is physiologically and emotionally and every other way,
It's too
didn't
far
start
away.
last week.
That spell isn't ready.
So you probably have these fantasies, desires, interests, probably your whole life, actually.
I can't cast that
You
yet.
became an adolescent or something.
Fantasies about what?
I'm assuming younger women. And maybe as you got older, like you wanted to stay in that
That's
realm,
still
like the
recharging.
younger girls, I like them better for whatever reason. You would have to tell me what the attraction is.
It's never happened before. I've never.
But we're talking like 12 years old. It's like 6th, 7th grade. You know what I mean? It's
I
a
can't
young
cast
human
that
being.
yet. That's still recharging. That spell
You want me to
isn't ready.
use your term and say 14?
I mean, I know that they're both young, but it's a little bit, different.
Is it being
I'm
a
out of
teenager? Is
range.
that the big hump that you need to hear? Like, okay, she's a teenager. She's 13. She's not 12.
I can't cast that
14.
yet.
She's not 12.
It's 2 years right now.
Yeah, still 2 years under the age of majority, right? Certainly not, worldly or mature enough to consent to anything.
I can't
Right?
loot that
Doesn't
right
have the
now.
legal right to do it. Never mind. Because why?
I can't
Because
loot
they're
that
very young,
right
so
now.
they need to be protected.
Can I ask you something?
Sure.
Why, if you thought I came down there to have sex, why didn't you wait and see if that happened?
Why would I want to put that girl that was in the house through any kind of a horrible experience that could get really out of hand really quickly?
Okay, I get
And
you.
no offense.
I got you, but.
There was like
I don't mean having
several
sex.
cops there and other able-bodied guys.
Right.
You'd be in probably some kind of pain at the end of it because if you got maybe your clothes up and you're trying to grab her, we come in not knowing what you're capable of.
I know.
Why not do it like as much as we can as a gentleman? You're seated. Chris Hansen speaks to you. You're free to go. You were compliant. We were, didn't throw you on the ground or anything. We handcuffed you. We brought you in. You know what I mean? Why would you want to take it to another level where it's horrible? And she has to go through that, several times because there's several different guys like yourself that are coming to meet her? say 13? Because you mentioned 13
I can't
right
loot
here.
that right now.
So how does that still make it legal?
That spell isn't ready.
She said 13, 14, but okay. How does it make what legal?
You just said that.
That's
How would it
still
make it okay
rechargeable.
if you're going to do things with her and she's 13 and you ultimately have relations with her,
It would.
intercourse? How does it make it
I
legal?
can't
It
cast
wouldn't
that yet.
unless her mom consented to marriage. That's the only way
That
it would be
spell
legal.
So
isn't ready yet.
you're gonna marry a 13-year-old girl with her mother's permission.
Maybe when she's 16, I would do that.
I can't loot that
Why
right
is that? Why is that like so hard to believe?
Why is it hard to believe?
Yeah, that could happen.
I can't say I've even ever heard of it. Actually,
If I wanted to like
maybe in other countries it happens.
wanted to not break the law, that's what I would have to do.
You would marry her now.
I haven't
You're
broken the law.
44. She's 13.
Yeah, I haven't broken the law. I mean, so that's the thing. It's all like you're
I can't
speculating
cast
what I was
that
going
yet.
to do based on conversation.
You also drove here. You didn't just like have chats that you're bad enough.
So what?
You actually drove 2
Drove.
hours. You're like basically my age. You drove 2 hours to meet a girl. Most guys.
Right, you're putting it all together, right? Most guys would.
Most guys younger than us, our age, older than us, if given the opportunity,
Right.
they might get in the car on a Saturday night and drive 2 hours if they think they're going to find, something that feels good at the end of the rainbow. But are they just going to do it to maybe meet somebody?
Most guys. So you're saying most guys. So it's like
You're driving from Boston.
you're saying most guys.
Right.
That's not me.
Well, who are you? Tell me who you are. Because based on the text and the behavior you exhibited, I'd say you fit right in there.
I like them much younger than what's normal. Maybe
What is
illegal,
that?
and I enjoy just,
This is fucking hilarious. Those guys, that's something. What am I
with
watching?
a 12 or 13-year-old girl.
Well, who are you? Tell me who you are. Not
What's the
those
problem?
guys.
I don't know you. I never saw you before in my life. That's a major league problem.
Major league. That's what we call a major league problem, bucko. Buddy boy.
28-year-old woman, like a 17.
Fucking major leagues.
What's the problem? I don't know you. I never saw you before in my life. That's a
What does
major
that mean?
league problem.
Where would you know or see him from? Isn't it from Boston? What does that have to do with anything?
What? Like a 28-year-old woman, like a 22-year-old girl. I'm talking about a 12 or 13-year-old girl. And she's acting like she's 18? Yeah, so what? She still tells you she's 13 years old. You're 44. Are you serious? That's a major league problem. But according to what you, it's not. In my head. In your head, maybe. No, what? I was there. No, I didn't change. I was not threatening her. That was not planning on having sex. Not planning on having sex. What if you just happen to meet a girl that is like,
That spell isn't ready yet.
you know what, for whatever reason, she's only 12 or 13, but man, she's a pistol, and she's all over you. What are you gonna do, push her away? Yeah, if I know I can go to jail. You would? Yes. And why did you bring the Cialis? You know what, that was in my car. I don't care where it was, it was in your pocket last time. Yeah, they said, what's in there? I believe it said like CVS, either ibuprofen or something like that. You're like, yeah, that's all it is. And now we do research, and it's just... Right. You're not even... Why don't you tell me the truth? I just got to figure it out. I just got to get closer. I don't remember answering it, to be honest with you. It's no big deal, but it's not like you had some other medicine, like I wanted to pick out at the top of my head, that's like completely unrelated to any kind of sexual interlude. This is like right up that alley, right? It's correct?
it's
So
something.
the chat, the
something
dry,
that
the
always
Cialis,
you know,
the fact that for some reason you think that
I'm out of range.
this is like some
That's still
innocent
the choice.
meeting
I
between
can't
a mature 12-year-old and you.
I carry the Cialis. I just do. And, you know, I was living in my car and I didn't want to leave it in the
Doesn't
car.
it belong in a prescription bottle?
No,
It doesn't?
no, it's smaller. I usually carry, I have other pills too, but it's really,
You don't see a problem with any of this, honestly. Well, so you see a problem.
I see a potential problem.
Do you have like nieces, nephews, whoever in your life, in your family?
Yeah.
I don't know their ages, but maybe some are around her age.
Honestly, the fact that I did not think I was breaking the law to come meet. If you look at read the whole text, read everything, you can see how scared I was to meet her. Just you know, just the whole scared of the whole situation. But
You're scared of her for basically one reason. And the reason is that your clear intention was to have sex with her. Because if it truly was just to meet somebody,
It's too far away. I
you
can't
wouldn't even
cast
be
it
nervous
yet.
about it. You'd be like, screw it. I was no interested in having
No,
sex with this girl. I was chatting. I right into God, and I'll swear to the parents, and they could be home for that matter. I'd love to meet them too, and my intentions are pure. Your intentions were not pure. That's why you had the reservations you had, right?
it was a new situation. Never done it before. Yeah.
But you're 44 and she's 12, 13.
There's always laws about like, you know,
Thank God there are, right?
about minors.
What if there weren't?
Listen,
I'm out of range. I can't cast that yet.
Okay, and I know you think that I'm bullshitting you.
No, you're trying to like kind of massage the corners, but you know, do I think you're realizing and being honest with yourself and with me about what you did? No, I don't actually. But I mean, you're talking about it, and I appreciate that, but you're not. If you truly looked in the mirror and thought about what's going on and what you did tonight.
That's just because I don't feel like I did anything wrong.
Well, if you want to keep it in the straight and narrow and say, all I do is come here and bring her a pizza. Yeah, I mean, any uncle, any neighbor,
Hey,
any
man,
guy,
that's all I did.
any softball coach, whatever.
Bring
as
a
long as it's kinda,
pizza.
his parents know and there's nothing creepy
We
going
were
on.
just bringing
Yeah, in and of itself, is
pizza.
that fine? Sure. But if that softball coach or whoever it may be is texting all kinds of things about having sex with the girl and her pussy and and send me a pic and everything else, and you're only 13 and I'm 44, and then you research the statutes and you drive 2 hours on a Saturday night, and you bring Cialis with you, and there's a reference of a marriage contract, because that'll somehow make it legal. It's fucked up. Honestly, be honest with yourself. You don't have to, you can try to bullshit me all day long, it doesn't really matter to me. Most of the people I talk to aren't exactly honest. But if you ever want to get well and then you get past this point in your life and not be back here sometime in the future, or somewhere else for that matter, or in a bad place,
It's not.
I can't cast that
like
yet.
seriously.
That special isn't ready yet.
Yeah,
I said
that's a problem. If your first kind of thought about this was probably the correct one, like, what the fuck am I doing?
I need to
This
get
is wrong. I shouldn't need to research a statute to see if I'm able to hang out with a 13-year-old girl and talk about having sex with her. We're not talking like senior in high school or something. We're talking 6th, 7th grade, right? You're 40. Not tonight. You just said before. If things worked out,
I can't
and
cast
you ended
that
up having a relation, you wanted to know, kind of like, it would be illegal. I think that's what you told me.
Yeah, I wouldn't do it unless it was legal.
It wouldn't do it. So the Cialis is just, keep it just in case. And
I'm driving 2 hours to meet a 12-year-old, so I'm sure she's got a wonderful conversation, and she's really interesting.
That's isn't ready.
You have a college degree, where do you work?
If I wanted to, if I was planning on having sex, I would have taken the CLS at home and just left it there.
I don't know, for all I know, you took one already. Maybe you took one at home, maybe you brought another one in case it was a phenomenal night, right? Or for tomorrow, if you slept over.
I told you I had it in my car. I rely on it when I have my date girls and stuff.
Alright, this is, I need a...
How about like, I
I'm
know
back.
you're doing the texting thing,
I need
was there
some
any, younger girl kind of adolescent pornography, either at your house or in your car or anything? Images, computer images, phone images?
Oh, we will. We will, buddy. Don't you fucking worry.
Did you send her pictures?
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah. Of course, it
Yeah.
was.
Need help? Such as you, like what?
You know.
Dick pics?
Or the Alliance.
Naked chest, what? Let's see.
Pictures.
This is of her or just you?
No, it was just like pictures that were like phone.
finest goods.
Sit on a random picture today, just like put a picture. of
I
myself.
supply only the finest goods.
With your what, brother shirt?
Yeah. At the bottom.
Who's the girl September 16th? Friend of yours, girlfriend, whatever?
Yeah, it's just somebody that was kind of that the picture on some site.
Did she send you any pictures, this girl?
Oh.
The girl from today?
Oh yeah, she is.
Naked, not naked?
Never asked for anything.
This is in your underwear, which is fine, but is that going, it's not going to her?
I don't know what else. I don't know what else. Should have sent that to the girl I was dating. I was holding on. As a joke.
As a joke.
Who's the dog, yours? With her kids?
Oh, stuff that goes away.
But if you took yourself out of it a little bit, like right now, I think, I mean, I'm sure you can understand why not only it's illegal, but it's just like flat wrong that anybody our age would be doing something like this. When you're looking at it as puzzle book, like it's not a big deal. You know, I don't even know you, but I feel bad that you're not somehow comprehending it. It's like so wrong, it's not even, you can't even discuss it. And if you actually think it's okay,
Be careful.
that's or even kind of okay, or situationally okay, it's,
I supply only the finest
you need
goods.
serious help, honestly, you really do. 'Cause that's just fucked up,
I'm not
period.
saying that it's okay. I never said that. I was
Well,
saying
what is
that
it?
my intentions were
How are you?
What, pure?
my intentions were
Safe
never to
travel.
violate her, other than being in her presence. And that's something that, like, obviously it's like a back and forth that you guys would never know. Because you're not inside my head.
No, I know, but I'm going by, the only way I know you is I'm going through the chat,
I know, I know.
your actions today,
I know,
what
yeah.
you said. Like, what am I supposed to go by? Something else? You know what I mean? Like, how can you judge me other than what we're talking about right now?
Yeah, like, I thought,
You
like,
don't know me either, right?
how do you, when you, what?
I have no idea what this is. What kind of
How do you,
video? How do I what?
so when you catch these, whatever you want to call them, sex, you know, you catch these people meeting with minors.
Yeah. Might be go you.
Right. So you know, you got me in the house and everything, and I just like I had no idea what was going on. You always do it like that?
Always? No, there's all kinds of ways things like this come to light. There's times when something like this happens, and there's times when a parent calls because I just caught my 15-year-old daughter or whatever texting some guy who says he's 30, come to find out he's 44 or whatever, and you know, they want the guy arrested for statutory rape, and
see, I thought it was against the law to have sex, to actually have sex, and then like, let's say I had sex tonight, and then somebody found out that I was with her, and you know, they did some sort of.
Why would we want to wait until that happens? It's kind of like saying, well, wait till the guy like robs the bank before you move in. No, if we have probable cause to believe that these guys are about to rob a bank, we can tell there's lives and innocent people in jeopardy, or in this case, the girl in the kitchen with a hat on. They're gonna let you grope her and feel her up and take your clothes off, so that what? I have a stronger case. Fuck that. You know what I mean? They ain't happening.
This is you know, the problem with society. You know,
What's the problem?
That law enforcement looks at, well, all kinds of people just think that men are pigs and all they want is sex.
I never said that.
That's what you're making out. That's what you're making it out to be. You're basically saying that it's not humanly possible for me to hang out with this girl and not have sex with her tonight.
I didn't say it's not humanly possible. It's certainly possible that you could have drove down here after you had this sexually kind of charged discussion, and maybe you're respectful, maybe you're like not some really aggressive guy, and she says, well, I'm not feeling it tonight, and you're like, okay, I'm gonna come back another time. But really, your intention was Cialis, a lot of this discussion, marriage contract to make it legal. Why don't I wait till, how long am I gonna take this and do this for? I'm gonna do this for months and months and months? Until one night, God forbid, you like actually attack this girl? And nobody's there to protect her? No, but you're making it sound like you talked about, you know, shared love of music or something else. Certain plots.
We talk about all that stuff.
And you also talked about sex with a 12 or freaking 13-year-old girl. It's fucked up.
Sex is a part of life. People talk about sex.
Hey, Joe. Oh, yeah, I don't care. You try on there and do it. You get Chuck or something in the area. I'll do whatever you want with it. Thanks. Oh, what are you talking about? No, I don't care. It's whatever. It's very nice. Yeah, I don't care. Maybe bounce up a Tony or something if you want to make it go. We're just talking about yeah, but I mean, honestly, it really is like what's your passcode?
4-1-2.
It is a serious problem you have. Because you're still kind of acting like, we had a guy earlier today, he's in tears and shaking. Because he knows it's wrong. He feels like emotionally, mentally, you know, kind of unstable, totally apologetic, similar situation. And, but at least I felt like he was kind of owning up for his intention. Maybe not necessarily today. Listen, you're acting like you're still trying to turn me and say, no, we're just going to hang out. What's the big deal?
Right, because that was my true intention. So I can't.
Right.
What else am I supposed to say?
With the Cialis,
No, you kind of can't play that one, bud. Sorry.
Did a long drive. It's not like I said, hey, listen, I'm dressing up really nice. I'm gonna take you out for something to eat. It's still bad, and I still wouldn't really believe you. But hey, look, you come in with a pizza, and you want to hang out home. Parents aren't home. Make sure of that. Well, the first thing you do, you want to give a girl a hug.
If the parents are home, they don't hang out with them. Parents are home.
Like you
That's
said,
why I wouldn't come. I mean, of course it's gonna happen. They're not letting you in, right?
why?
You know,
Yeah, we both know why. I just want you to know why.
and I'm well aware that it looks bad.
It looks bad, and it is bad. Not necessarily today. Discussion, marriage contract, and make it legal. Well, I don't think until one night God forbid, you go to the Catholic school, and nobody's there to protect her. No, but you're making it sound like you talked about, you know, shared love of music or something else.
There's a certain velocity.
You know, something about sex with a 12 or freaking 13-year-old girl. Fucked up.
Sex is a part of life. People talk about sex.
Oh, yeah, you turn over there and do it. You chuck or something in the area. I'll do whatever you want with it. Oh, what are you talking about? No, I don't think it's cool. Yeah, I don't care. Maybe bounce up a Tony or something.
You're walking on me. He's like, yeah, this dickhead right here. You don't think I'm wrong. Laughing to his buddy. Why is he laughing to his buddy, man?
Honestly, it really is like a. What's your passcode? It is a serious problem. Because you're still kind of acting like it. We had a guy earlier today. He's in tears and shaking because he knows it's wrong. He feels like emotionally, mentally, you know, kind of unstable, totally apologetic. Similar situation. And, but at least I felt like he was kind of owning up for his intention. Maybe not necessarily today. Listen, you're acting like you're still trying to turn me and say, no, we're just gonna hang out. Like, it's a big deal.
Right, because that was my true intention. So I can't. What else am I supposed to say?
With the Cialis,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. Yeah. With the
And that was hard to believe it.
with the sex chat, with a long drive.
It's
Not like I said, hey, listen, I'm dressing up really nice. I'm gonna take you out for something to eat. It's still bad, and I still wouldn't really believe it. But hey, look, you come in with a pizza, you want to hang out home. Parents aren't home. Make sure of that.
Well,
The first thing you do, you want to give a girl a hug.
If the parents are home, they don't hang out with them. Parents are home. That's why we would come. I mean, of course it wouldn't happen. We're not letting you in. Right? Why? You know.
Yeah, we both know why. I just want you to know why.
And I'm well aware of it. I'm well aware that it looks bad.
It looks bad, and it is bad. It's not just like, hey, we're jumping to conclusions here. This guy's a great SAT prep guy. He's working with this girl for the.
I wanted to see what she was all about. I honestly was not planning on having sex with her.
That is.
No.
You want to see what a 13-year-old girl is all about. You still don't see that as like being an issue.
I can see how it is an issue for most people.
Most of them might say, at our age, hey, the girl's like 26, 28, whatever. A little on the younger side for us, but yeah, I want to hang out and see what she's all about. She's 12 or 13. 17-year-old boys aren't even interested in her. You with me?
No, that's condoms a little funny.
But yeah, Cialis.
Well,
together, it's not like we're making a big leap here. You know what I mean? But you're still shaking your head with your hands, your arms are crossed, and you're kind of wondering, like, well, this is great. I just wanted to hang out with her.
That's the truth.
Even if that was the truth, which I don't believe. It's all.
Have a cup of water.
Yeah. Take a second just to maybe get back to your home life. You live what in an apartment in Brooklyn? Is it very so? What do we do for work? And we mentioned the Chester thing or something. So the base in Chester, you work over in?
Yeah, I mean, I work out of my house, but
you know, you spent a lot of time chatting with this girl, obviously, with the computer home, I imagine, you have different chat rooms, you go up to different people. If we looked at some of those things, we would find out they're younger girls, or they come in and
no, you don't get the time to come to that.
I'm talking about like age of the female, that's my comment. Even what's the youngest girl other than this gal that you've spoken to Saturday recently or in the last several months?
They're all 20 I've never had.
Why not like 18 or 17?
It just happened.
How did it happen? Yeah, well, how did you jump out of it? Why would you be so taken with
Not everybody that age, you can do that.
What can you tell me about it?
Well, I'm sure everything I tell you about her is probably not true.
Granted, but what do you know of her? That maybe, you know, if I heard it, I'd be like, wow, she must be kind of special.
Well, she seemed smart, and she seemed like, you know, mature. Other than we talked about hockey, she said she was a big hockey fan, so am I. I don't know, she just seemed chill, like to hang out and stuff.
Just like you tell me, you can't tell me when she went to a certain, you know, middle school, high school, she was going to the high school, she had an ex-boyfriend, she had sex with him once or twice, or, you know, single mother, parents are in the house, siblings, you can't tell me anything like that?
Oh yeah, and she said she lived with her mom, yeah.
What's her mother do? Where's her mother supposed to be today?
Yeah, she said gone with her way.
You know, where? She's probably coming home early, no, yes, maybe.
I have no idea. No, she's fine.
You didn't know where she was going?
I think she's right away somewhere.
You didn't inquire where though? If I was gonna be careful to the point I'm gonna research.
Oh, she said that.
And know where,
Sit down.
how much trouble I may or may not be in if things, like you said, like, either got out of hand or you had relations. I would assume you'd know where the freaking mother was so that you don't wanna walk in on you, right?
She said she was out.
Okay. And what's her mother do? She lives in Whitman. go back today when we look at this, if I can get it on there. How long have you been planning to see her today? I mean, before today, was this like in the last couple of days? Or?
Actually, just made the decision today. We look at the text messages. It was talked about, but I hadn't committed really. Because obviously I had apprehension of the whole thing.
She did more research today, just found out you have to get more written consent by her mom to get married under 18. Fuck. I got the frustration, right? I have some ideas on this and talk a little bit, kids don't want to see you. Fuck that. Can we drink it?
13, man. Which one?
No bullshit.
13, man. Is that what he said?
You probably have a major league issue with this for a long time.
Man, he loves the word major league. Tell you what.
I don't know that you were going to rape her tonight.
Damn, he dropped the R bomb.
But
That's
you
illegal.
certainly
That's
were
illegal.
preying on her, right?
Praying? No, I'm not a religious man, but thank you.
Are you going to drive down from Boston? You want to drink with her? You got a Cialis in your pocket. You may have one in your system. And you want to bang the chick, right? You weren't going to. Even if she wanted it, you're drinking, you feel good, you gotta be horny, right? You haven't had a girlfriend in a little while?
I was not going to do it.
Why?
Because I was too scared.
Of what?
Consequences, you can see I said it a lot in the messages. On Skype.
You're gonna drink with a 13-year-old girl while her mother's in fucking Dallas, Texas, or wherever you said before, and you're worried about consequences? Like, seriously.
Yeah. I'm serious.
Or adult men, dude, talk to me. You can't be serious.
See, then you're
No, I'm being serious.
you're bringing that up again. You're basically insinuating that.
Because I'm not 22, and you're not 50, and I'm not 50, and you're not 20. Like, I'm 47, so, like, we're in the same realm here.
Yep, I understand.
And you're gonna drink with this girl, who you know is, how many years under the age of, you know, being able to consume alcohol? 7, 8, depending on what age you're talking about. You know, Cialis and the whole sex, texting stuff going on. It's like, no, seriously, just own up to what you did. You're trying to still kind of keep it over here, and it's not there. You're not doing yourself any favors the more you act like that. I mean, if you want to get past this and get well and not be in this position someday, probably in another police department or worse, if somebody ever walked in on you, or you hurt some girl who, again, is 12 or 13 years old, just look at yourself in the mirror and, like, think about what you're talking about.
Yes, I know.
You can cross your arms and hide all you want.
No,
You know what?
I know.
You weren't going to touch her.
No, I know that it looks bad.
It is bad.
It is bad.
It's
It's
not
bad.
that it doesn't look bad. It's horrible.
Yeah, the whole thing is bad. But my intentions were not to have sex.
So you're going to drink with this girl, who, like, how much alcohol could she have drank in her life?
Let's take a,
So she's going to act out, probably like a basket case.
let's take a lie detector test.
That's going to prove what to me?
I don't know.
I mean, you're a fucking
Let's go-
sociopath.
let's
Is
go to
anything
court.
admissible in court?
I don't know. Let's go to court. I mean, I would swear in court that I wasn't planning on having sex with her.
You weren't planning on having sex with her.
Right.
Maybe you didn't plan on having sex with her, but it would have happened if...
I disagree. I honestly disagree.
He took Cialis.
Again, let's go
He
back
took
to
a
this
sex
whole
pill.
thing.
Why is he not focusing more on that? That's like the ultimate answer to everything in this situation. Like, we've seen him take it on camera. This is the thing I'm thinking. We see it. I've seen this one. Like, it's not a surprise.
No, it's not. Any girl is that age.
Well, I
She's
talked to
cool
her.
to you?
I talked to her enough. Yeah.
Yeah.
To figure that out. I'm not denying that have a drink and have some pizza, and you don't think I can control myself and not have sex with her?
I don't know you at all. I would say you probably can't control yourself since you got in the car on a Saturday night and drove all this way to meet this girl you've never met. You chatted with about sex and pics and yada yada yada, and getting married and getting her mother's consent so you could have sex with her so it would be legal.
Jesus Christ, dude.
You know,
Let's give
circumvent
it
the
up,
law.
man. Fuck.
Do you think that's normal?
No, it's not. I didn't even told her that.
And you always light up like you're proud of that fact. It's disturbing.
No.
Wait, what?
I'm acting this way for
Saturday night and drove all this way to meet this girl you've never met. You chatted with about sex and pics and yada yada yada, and getting married and getting her mother's consent so you could have sex with her so it would be legal to try to, you know, circumvent the law. You think that's normal?
No, it's not. I didn't even told her that.
And you always light up like you're proud of that fact. It's disturbing.
Not sort of hit. I'm acting this way for several reasons. One, because I'm probably too much shocked to realize this is what happened and feel like that I'm dreaming. I didn't even show this is real. And two, I know what my intentions were. And
You can say that, and maybe some of what you're saying is accurate and true. I don't know, but
because I wrote
but,
on Skype, I wrote all these
I don't
messages
know.
stating that I don't want to have sex. I don't want to have sex if it's going to be against the law. How can you not interpret that as, you know, as me trying to obey, not trying to obey the law? How can you interpret that?
how can I interpret it if you're not? The girl is 13 years
Okay,
old.
you keep going back to that.
You're trying to, I'll be blunt. You want to be able to bang her, and the only way you think you're able to bang her and have sex with her is by getting her mother to sign a marriage application or certificate. That's the only reason. You don't even care about the mother. In fact, the only reason you're at the house is because the mother is 1,500 miles away.
Right, and I realized that is would have been virtually impossible.
As it should be.
Right. But
God forbid it happened all the time. Where would our society be, right? All these creepy older guys be going after these, middle school girls? Fucking 6th or 7th grade, and that's who you're attracted to? And she's like, you said she's mature, and she's got, she's really smart, and she's really...
I don't think I was going after her. I mean...
Well, you can drive, and she can't, so she's not coming after you.
Well, but she's pursuing me, too, online and...
Yeah, with this little adolescent brain and intellect of hers, right? And you're a guy that's my age, basically, and you've been through college, and you've worked for 20 years, and you've been married and divorced, and this girl's like, what should have been maybe a product of your marriage, like a young girl, 12 years old, 13 years old. And you're gonna...
I'm sorry, yes, it looks awful.
Just say it is awful. Because I'm saying it looks awful. It is awful. It's kind of pissing me off, actually. It doesn't just look awful.
No, well,
If I walked in the library and you were leaning over my daughter's shoulder, talking to her, come to find out you're teaching her something about computers and everything's, it looks awful, but maybe it's not awful. Maybe I overreacted initially. This is fucking awful and disgusting, actually. Period. You're a dad, reverse it, and I'm you probably want to strangle me, right?
most likely.
I want to bang your daughter.
Most likely.
No, yeah, you would. You'd probably be over the table, like, trying to kill me right now. Not most likely either. Like, absolutely. You have a serious problem. And until you, like, admit it, you're not going anywhere. You're not going to get better. You're not going to, this stuff's not going to go away. I don't know when it started. You need,
Really? You don't think this is enough for me to realize
You wanted to have sex with a fucking 13-year-old. That's why the contract, that's why the mother comment about the signed contract, all those things, the only reason. Does it make a difference if it's tonight or tomorrow?
I'm being honest with you on that. I wasn't planning on having sex with her tonight.
You were planning on having sex with her tonight. How many times have girls said that about a date with a guy? I wasn't planning on having sex with the guy, and oh my God, he was so handsome, and he was really nice, and you know, you weren't planning on it.
Wait, what? What is that? How he has the cop has sex with guys? Like he goes on dates with them and he finds them handsome and what?
No way in hell. I was dropping the pizza, having a slice. They came over to New York, nice to meet you. You wait till the mother's not home, you get to see Alice, and you talking about alcohol with a girl who's 13? That's a great idea. Let's drink with a 13-year-old. Even if she starts freaking out and dropping all her clothes, you want no part of leave.
I'll leave, buddy. I'm out of there. Even though it's exactly what I talked about. We're fucking out of there.
How are you? See you?
You need something? Have a good one.
Good day to you.
Hey there. Safe travels.
It's obvious from my obvious text messages that I would obviously had the obvious the best intentions. Bitch, obviously. Buff me, bitch. Buff me. I command you. I demand you. Buff me, bitch. Buff me.
So that it would somehow be legal or okay in your mind.
Okay with everybody,
right? But that was your intention. It wasn't like you, I gotta wait until she's 16, 17. I'm not touching this poor thing because she's only 13 years old. That wasn't your motivation. It was like, I want to bang her. I gotta get her mother to sign her over.
To be honest, I had nothing to do tonight. I really just wanted to meet her and then figure out something. You're painting me to be like an evil person that doesn't care about it happens, well-being. I'm admitting to you that it's wrong. If anybody who hears a story like this is going to think you're doing something wrong.
Even you thought so.
They don't know all the facts.
Well, you thought so. So you researched the law, right?
Yes, I was like researching stuff for things that I wanted to know. If I did this, what would happen? If I did that, what would happen? Doesn't mean I was going to do it. I just wanted to know what
What would the ramifications be if you served her alcohol? And she got hammered at home with you? Is that cool? Did you circumvent that?
I was going to let her get.
You just gonna have her with a little vodka?
Yeah.
Yeah?
A drink.
Who are you in her life to even say that's okay?
I'm not going to like I'm not going to be like, forcefully take the bottle away from her. I would just to say, let's have one drink, have a drink, people have a drink.
She's 13. She's 13.
She's 13.
She's a psychiatrist. What do you think? Does it help?
Well, baby, you should.
What's your OCD? What's your fixation? Is that probably what we're talking about? What? probably more.
Georgia. It's just, you go through it every day. It's tough. Especially if you're not like one night, you have to deal with it. I'm out of range. I can't cast that yet. That spell isn't
You
ready.
fixate on either porn or girls or younger girls that ever focus on your, no. You sure? You're kind of closing your eyes and shaking your head.
It's too far away.
Is there anything on your phone that might show us the other younger females that you communicate with?
I'm out of range. I can't cast that yet.
No, I mean, when you say young female,
What's the young?
That's still recharging. That spell isn't ready.
Let's get dating. Maria Chesley. 617 number here.
Valley's
Said your DM wasn't set up. That's a level 10 border.
That's still recharging.
If you and your brothers, you typically go for a girl that's.
I can't cast that yet.
No, but you tend to be attracted to maybe girls that are more like teens, like the teeny boppers.
No, that's not true.
I'm just asking, I don't know.
It's not true, though, because, like,
Maybe you're not, maybe you are.
it's not, I mean, like, seeing last couple of girls that I've dated, actually the last 3 have been my age.
I mean, I get what Maria's not satisfied because she's looking for something else to do with the thing. Girl. Sexual issue with them, and they're attracted to her. Any questions for me?
Yeah. What did you arrest me? Like, what?
Well, since nothing really happened, it's criminal attempt.
But it's other fun.
And you signed the form downstairs, you should have seen the charges, but it's criminal attempt to sexual assault first degree.
Sign what form?
The yellow, we call them the UAR forms, the 4 sheets.
Yeah, you said that was a sign that we.
But they have your charges on there, on the bottom. You didn't see your charges?
No, I thought it was just signing, I just thought it was just signing that I gave him fingerprints.
Okay, well, that's not exactly the case. You were arrested for felonies. It's criminal attempt to commit sexual assault first degree.
I would never agree to that.
Well, it doesn't matter if you agree, you don't have to agree, that's what we're charging you.
Alright, but I'm saying, like, I would never sign.
You're not signing that you're guilty, you're signing that you have, the information on the sheet is accurate.
You think you're charging me. That's what.
Well, yeah, but it doesn't matter, if you didn't sign it, would it change anything? No. Doesn't mean like, oh, he doesn't admit to this.
Okay, so what were the charges again?
Criminal intent to commit sexual assault first degree, because you obviously didn't actually engage in that, but we believe that was your intention. Enticing a minor and risk of injury to a minor. You're shaking your head. You know, but like honestly, there's a mirror in front of you, but there's a reflection. Oh, he doesn't admit to this. So what were the charges again? Criminal intent to commit sexual assault first degree, because you obviously didn't actually engage in that, but we believe that was your intention. Enticing a minor and risk of injury to a minor. You're shaking your head. You know, but like honestly, there's a mirror in front of you, but there's a reflection. Like a minor and risk of injury to a minor. You're shaking your head. You know, but like honestly, there's a mirror in front of you, but there's a reflection. Like if you really look at yourself and think about what occurred, I think you're probably a very bright guy. I imagine you might be, but you're still in this weird funk of like denial. Like, yeah, it's not what you think. I wasn't gonna do that. Like truly look at yourself and be like, I fucked up bad. I tried to fucked up. No, there's people that maybe get caught in the wrong place at the wrong time, whatever. No, fucked up by coming down. No, you fucked up by contacting a 12-year-old girl, dude. 13-year-old girl. Coming here was just like one arm of the whole thing, one little tentacle. If you're texting a girl who's 13 about getting laid with her, getting her mother to sign a marriage certificate, and I'm being redundant, drinking alcohol that her mother has a bottle of vodka, those are the fucked up. The whole point of you even communicating with the girl is fucked up, never mind the rest of it. It's not just coming here. I mean, that's just the end result, the finality part of it, I guess, to say. But the fact that you even communicated with her. If I was talking to a girl that I ever found out she was at my age, like less than 20 years old, I'd be like, honey, good luck in your, in your search and your chase or whatever. But it ain't happening with me, you know what I mean? And you're talking to a girl you know or think is 13 years old. Problem. But until you actually like admit that to yourself, either it's the OCD that got the best of you, or you're depressed, maybe you just needed to hang out, you're lonely. There's all kinds of reasons. We all have excuses for all kinds of behavior. I can make up stuff too. Maybe some of it's true, but it doesn't excuse. Again, talking to a child and trying to have sex with her. Say that. Honestly, put it in your words how tonight should be looked at by. I understand. I understand. You would think it too.
Wait, what?
Excuse.
What did he say? Is he still trying to get out of it somehow? I thought he was accepting it. What the fuck? What is he doing, dude? You're definitely going to jail now.
When you say that, I honestly feel like it's fair.
I don't think it's fair to say that.
Put it in your words.
Oh my god. What?
I understand that. Everybody here would think that. I understand that. You would think it too. What are you doing?
Everybody here.
You would know it. You would do a report on it. Be like, this fucking guy is trying to bang this chick, like tonight. You know, you didn't come down 3 days ago when the mother was home. You didn't come down during broad daylight. You came out on Saturday night, booze, Cialis, yada, yada, yada. I didn't search your car, but, there's something else in your car. You know, a lot of guys bring condoms and different things and stuff like this. I don't know if you had those, but your mother could sign, so it won't be an issue. Just please, for your well-being in the future, not just like, yeah, you're on the fringe, it's a little questionable. No, this is like horrible. You know, this is like awful.
You have a view, you think it's awful. I think it's bad, but my intentions were good.
So what I was gonna say, like that started out sounding really bad, dude.
My intentions were not to have sex.
You have a view, you know, you think it's awful. I have another view. It's bad. You know, it's not as bad. Yeah, I was gonna, you know, maybe with the contract. Like, damn, dog. That really got questioning really fast. Jesus Christ, Jeff. Have some fucking self-respect. This dude is never gonna get hired anywhere after this interview.
She's that age. If there was some weird loophole in some, you know, older law that we could get some relative to sign something, to do something. Okay, now it's legal. She's still fucking 13 years old, dude.
If we fell in love with each other,
Are you really at that level with this chick? Is this like kind of?
if it, if,
Aren't you jumping like way ahead?
yeah, just I was thinking that way.
You wanted to get her drunk tonight, basically. You did. You did. Come on, look at your phone. Right?
Well, yeah, it says that, but
I didn't say.
doesn't mean we're going to just have one drink. So again, you're assuming all this stuff.
13.
You're assuming
It's
all
just
this
drinking vodka. You didn't say we
What?
could have a little sip, but who are you in her life anyways to even talk about that? Come on. Just, I don't want to go round and round with you. It's getting late. Legal. When?
What the fuck was that?
You said it before.
Unless it was perfectly,
Maybe not tonight.
unless it was perfectly legal. Never risk that.
So regardless of like the fact that she's that age, if there was some weird loophole in some, you know, older law that we could get some relative to sign something, to do something. Okay, now it's legal. She's still fucking 13 years old, dude.
If we fell in love with each other,
Are you really at that level with this chick? Is this like kind of? Aren't you jumping like way ahead?
yeah, just I was thinking that way.
You wanted to get her drunk tonight, basically. You did. You did. Come on, look at your phone. Right?
Well, yeah, it says that, but
I didn't say.
doesn't mean we're going to just have one drink. So again, you're assuming all this stuff.
13.
You're assuming
It's
all
just
this
drinking
stuff.
vodka.
And if I was to walk out of here right now,
Jesus.
I've learned a nasty lesson, and that never to like even go near this again because it's not worth it, no matter what the intention.
It's not worth it.
That's what I
Okay,
thought.
that's a little bit different
You know,
than.
I'm scared shitless right now. I'm not showing it, maybe. This is my personality. A lot of people think I'm, some people think I'm cocky, some people think I'm confident, but whatever. I mean, a lot of times I'm not. It's my personality. I know I have weaknesses. Yes, I'm lonely. I mean, I've had trouble with, meeting people, just, so, yeah, I go online and I talk to people. It's like, something to do, something a lot of people do. I talk to other people about that. But why they talk to me? I don't know what other people like. What do they?
Nobody has an issue with you. You're all consenting adults. If you're talking to random people, by all means, do it.
She was the only one that happened to be, yeah. But
Happened to be what?
Young.
Young? Yeah, like 13.
Yes, too young.
Not like
Shouldn't be talking to her.
17 or 16.
I get it. I shouldn't be talking to her.
What
It's
state?
just not digesting that whole part of it. Like,
What is it? 80% fucking 16.
everybody's got
Yeah,
something.
that doesn't even make
I
sense.
got OCD and I'm lonely.
Like
I'm depressed.
18.
Okay, fine, but she's 13. You can.
Hey, the bag, I forgot. Shit. Oh wait, do I not have enough room? Are you serious?
Other avenues you got my insurance. And
You're serious.
And you're going to prey on a 13-year-old girl?
Dude, what are you?
To make yourself feel better on a Saturday night? Like, seriously, that's what happened. Like, just about guaranteed. So, you say what you want. I don't want to argue with you. No offense. You believe what you believe, supposedly. I'm not sure if you even do. And I kind of know what I know. And that's it. But your charges, I told you about your charges. I showed you downstairs. And if they didn't talk to you about bond yet, maybe they didn't. We'll talk about bond with the lieutenant. That's kind of it for this moment. If you have any questions for me?
Well, even saying that doesn't mean anything. I mean,
Well, otherwise you wouldn't say it, right?
no, but like, it doesn't, it really, in the end, it doesn't mean anything if you don't know somebody. You know?
Sure, I mean, she could be blurting out to everybody on Facebook, but you were telling her for self-interest to kind of protect your own ass. Because you know it's wrong, and she may or may not know it's wrong, but you're telling her it's wrong, you get in a lot of trouble, so you're kind of warning her, like, keep it quiet, and...
Yeah, but I also know, this type of thing, if I was to go through with this, like you think I was going to do, I also know that just because she says that she's not going to become home, I can't take her on her word, and that's why I wasn't sexual. And I didn't either.
Alright, so, no offense, I really don't, but if you drank some vodka and you limited her intake, or supposedly, and she got a little bit drunk, and the mother got upset more, and half the bottle of vodka's gone, and she rocks you out, and the mother goes to the phone and finds out that you were over, you're okay with that? It's okay? Getting a 15-year-old drunk on Saturday night?
No.
And you know what the second allegation would be, right? The mother's looking at me like this weird guy from Boston came down and talked to my daughter, and I went to a rape kit, and I went arrested.
Yeah, that's bad.
My daughter's going to say, no, we didn't have sex, and you're going to say, no, I don't know what you're talking about, we have to do this whole thing. In reality, maybe it did have sex. And we think, I wouldn't be charging you if I didn't think that was your intention, just so you know.
So you can charge me with those things.
You've already been charged, yeah. There's 3 charges. Criminal attempt. Because if we weren't in these positions in that house, and you actually had that girl, if you had a real girl, and you came down to meet her, yeah, we believe that that was your intention, yes. Have sex with her. Not to kiss her and give her a hug, but have sex with her.
Okay.
You wouldn't be here otherwise.
You're right.
That's our intention.
I understand.
I mean, that's our position, so, anyways, I don't wanna, again, go round and round with that.
Right, and I don't want you to think that that I'm just not taking this seriously.
I think you're taking it serious, I just don't think you're being honest with yourself. No, you're not unique in that, we could try to...
I'm admitting, yes, I mean, I agree to all that, we talked about having sex, and we talked about...
Are you a virgin? Why do you give a fuck if this girl's a virgin if you're not gonna have sex with her? Which, again, we've already gone round and round, like, I know what I believe I know what your intention was. But it's like, you can ask the 15-year-old girl that. You slept with one guy more than once, a couple times, or surprised. Most girls at your age are virgins, so I'm impressed. Who would do it? Who would do it?
I mean...
That makes me feel a little better. Initially, you were like, I shouldn't have come down here. No, you fucked up when you started talking to me. That's wrong.
You're right, I shouldn't be...
Period. And then you only got worse from there.
I shouldn't be tempted like that, to come down. And yes, but, I know you're saying that one thing leads to another, and the sex can happen, but I'm being honest. And I'm being honest when I say there's nothing else I feel. It wasn't going to risk. I'm not going to risk going to jail.
Not today, right? Supposedly, maybe not today.
I wasn't making that decision right now.
Who was?
Me, I wasn't going to make that decision. I just want to meet her and see if I liked her or if she liked me. That's really...
What if you hit it off and you have a glass of vodka or whatever, orange juice and vodka or something? It's just cute, and you're like, you got the house to yourself, and you got a Cialis burn all in your pocket.
I'm telling you, I went in with the mindset that I wasn't going to have sex with her.
Yeah, that's great.
That's the mindset, because I'm going to
places with a good mindset, and the shit goes upside down within a minute, right?
Yeah, because a lot of people don't care about circumstances.
I know you did, and you researched it and everything.
but I care about it. I don't want to go to jail. So why risk it? Why risk my whole life? I didn't think going down to meet her and just like see if I liked her was going to be an issue because I knew about attention.
No, it's open for debate.
I know it's open for debate. It was bad. Yeah, it was bad. Okay.
All right, listen, we probably beat this dead horse.
I know we
Going
have.
around and around, but
Listen, I understand.
I'm glad you talked to me. I
Listen,
appreciate it.
I understand why you think. I get it. I get why you think my intentions were good. I get
Because
it.
you think it too.
I get it.
Yeah, as you should, as everybody should. Period. No big deal. I don't even know you. You're probably like a decent human being somewhere in there. You made really bad choices.
Why would I lie to you? Why would I lie to you?
Because you can't face the truth. That's the reality. I mean, it could be a combination of the OCD stuff.
Do you think if I walk out of here right now, that I would do this again? After all of this?
Today?
No, never. Yeah, but if I walked out right now, do you think I would do this again ever again?
Right away?
No.
Probably not right away. But I think you do it eventually. You didn't seek some type of help for it.
Really?
Yeah, I do. I don't know one guy. I know maybe guys I know do it and I'm unaware of it, but I don't know anybody in my personal life or professional life, even in their 20s, that would talk to a 12 or 13-year-old girl about anything other than coaching soccer because their daughter plays on the team. Nothing sexual. There's no texting. There's nothing creepy.
Just asking you what you think of me. Like, you think that I could control myself and not do this? Like, you think I've learned a lesson?
You just told me you have OCD, so back on the convention, you apparently can't control yourself at certain times, right? No offense.
But OCD is underrated.
Whatever, maybe it is. I'm not a doctor. Maybe it's not. Maybe there's other issues.
It's underrated. I can control
Or the medication. Well, can you control yourself with this?
Well, I can control myself, my actions. I can control my actions.
You drove down with that fucking motor's going and you want to get her
So
drunk.
do you think that I would do this again? After all of this, after like all this.
Well, I'm going to say I hope not, because I don't want to argue with you.
You don't think I could, you insulted me.
If you would do this,
You insulted me.
if you would do this up until this tonight, this isn't like 6 months ago, right? This is like right now, tonight. You might think you would do it if for some reason you got out of this and there was some kind of weird, hey, Jeff, you're all set, don't worry about court, no problem, those charges are dropped, see you later. Do I think you would do it again? Yeah, I do. I'd probably just about bet my life and career on it, actually. Because I don't think anybody would do that. And then do I think it's the first time you did it? No, I don't. Because that's just, if it is the first time, it's almost more bizarre than if it's not. Because if it's the first time, what the fuck drove you to do that? Where I would understand it more if you said, yeah, it was kind of like fucking over the teenage girls in school and younger than most, but you know what I mean? But you're actually acting like, well, no, she was pretty cool, I want to hang out. I'm like, it's just, to me, it's I can't, I don't know. Again, knowing girls of that age, I know what they look like and act like. Other than texting, like stuff like, hey, there's a game tomorrow, make sure everybody's there or something, that ain't happened. You know what I mean? And then asking for you're a virgin or whatever, all the other stuff. So until you recognize that and like kind of accept it,
Doesn't mean
and
anything.
there's the guy that's looking at you right there and that little reflection, then you're never gonna get well either.
You can't take me at my word when I say
I don't know
that
yet.
I've learned.
Oh, sure you learn. It probably sucks. Yeah, I'm sure that in that respect.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
wouldn't want to go near this situation.
You wouldn't want to do. I think you can control it.
Really? You don't think I could? Yeah.
No, because why would you do it if you could control it? As soon as you found out she was 12 or 13, whatever's in dispute here, you should have been like, peace. I'm out of here. Good luck with the teenage boys or whatever. Instead, you continue this whole thing for weeks.
No, it's wrong.
It drives from a major metropolitan area where there's probably, to be crude, all kinds of women, let's just say. And you're coming down to Fairfield, Connecticut, and it's just 13 people. You get it. There's millions of people in the Boston area, people that are transient and regular,
I really,
permanent
I
people.
really wanted a friend for myself. Why wouldn't I just do it at the Boston?
Maybe you do. I don't know. I don't know, right? I actually don't know, but when I walk in downstairs, I'll find out. Well, there's gonna be a bond, and either you're able to post the bond, at which point you would usually get a bondsman and get out and have a future court date. I can see what they gave you for a court date. If you can't post the bond, say Saturday night, we keep you till Monday morning and we bring you over to the court at Richmond. At which point you'd be arraigned and they either you can continue to keep the bond at that level, or they would drop it down, or it would be in the meantime you made arrangements to post the bond. Does that make sense? So if you can't post the bond, you're gonna be in our custody from today until Monday morning, and you can actually remain in custody even though you go to court that day, depending on the bond. But if the bond is doable for you, you would get out, and you come in court, let's say, in 2 weeks to your first court date. You should. That would be that would be down here in Bridgeport next to Fairfield, and that would be like your first court date of probably several regarding this. I'm not trying to beat you up. It was a horrible decision. I hope it was the first time you ever did this. It was the first time, yes. But it's terrible. And you'll get it at some point.
He hopes it wasn't the first time he's ever done that. That's a really weird thing to say.
I've already, as soon as that guy walked in, I tried to put it in. But I'll find out when they're gonna bring it downstairs and just, you can make a phone call at some point and see if we can raise it. If you just wanna sit quiet for tonight, we put you in a cell with a blanket, you go to bed, we give you breakfast in the morning, we keep you tomorrow Sunday, we keep you all day, till Monday morning, we bring you to court. Make sense? Yeah, and it's hard. Well, I mean, depending on what the bond is, but, I can't. Usually, have you ever been arrested or any trouble? Never in your life? Alright, give me 2 seconds, we'll just grab somebody and we'll see what we can. Yeah, I'll let you do it, let me just,
In this video, we'll go over 10 major lore
Jeez, dog.
characters or powerful beings who ended up as random dungeon bosses. And at number 10, we have the most dangerous and infamous boss of all the other ones on this list, and that's Hagar, who's the final boss of the Stormwind Stockade. Now, I'm partially joking about this one. Hagar is more of a meme in the WoW community because he killed so many new players in the Human Starting Zone, as he was originally a quest objective who was most times the first elite mob players we come across, as the majority of players in the early days of WoW were humans, and it wasn't really possible to solo Hagar the first time you ran into him, unless you were a really good character and prepared. So he became infamous as an incredibly difficult creature, who was very deadly, despite the fact that less people died to him than the Defiance pillagers in the adjacent zone. So, in the Cataclysm revamp, when they recreated the Human Starting Zone, they adjusted the quest with Hagar to make him much easier to kill. And when you did actually manage to kill Hagar, he wouldn't actually die and instead be arrested. And then he would be taken to the Stormwind Stockade, where he eventually plans a revolt, and you're sent in there to calm things down to defeat Hagar once and for all. Although putting Hagar as a dungeon boss is actually incredibly appropriate for him, considering his minor infamy. So all the other spots on this list will be of much more importance. And at number 9, we have Lillian Voss, the Skullamass dungeon. Now, for non-Horde players who don't know who Lillian Voss is, she starts off as an NPC in the Undead Starting Zone, and you help her go through the zones as she tries to get revenge on the Scarlet Crusade, who turned on her as soon as they found out she was undead. But to be fair, to expect anything else was kind of her own fault, because the Scarlet Crusade has always been crazy and their whole stick is killing the undead. Anyways, her story continues on into some of the dungeons, where she's tracking down a necromancer in Skullamass. But then the necromancer mind controls her, because she's undead, and you have to fight her as one of the dungeon bosses. where after you beat her, you just free her from mind control, and then she helps you defeat the final boss. Lillian Voss was shown as being ultra powerful in the Undead Starting Zone, as she could single-handedly take down groups of Scarlet Crusade members by herself. So her being a powerful dungeon boss kind of made sense. And then Lillian Voss started having occasional minor roles in lore after this dungeon, popping up in the Road Border Hall, and then becoming a major player in Battle for Azeroth, as she is the de facto undead leader after Sylvanas is down. Although her being a dungeon boss was a mind control situation, and you don't actually kill her, but she is a very important character who did end up as a dungeon boss. So she makes this list, if only at a very low spot. And at number 8, we have Vincent Godfrey, who shows up as the final boss in the
cool.
Shadow of Keep. Vincent Godfrey holds the achievement that only 2 other people have accomplished in lore, managing to kill Sylvanas. The first one was Arthas the Lich King, who killed her in the first place and turned her into an undead. And the other person who killed Sylvanas was herself. And since she is a major lore character and is the driving factor for this expansion, this is quite the accomplishment. And this character managed to kill her by pretending to be on her side after she raised him during the Civil War question. In which case, he sneaks up behind her and shoots her in the back of the head. And then immediately runs away to Shadowland Keep, where he's dealt with as a dungeon boss, because he wasn't really worth more than that, to be completely honest. He is an important lore character, and was able to accomplish quite a feat, even if it was done through trickery and not through brute strength, which definitely allows him to make this list, just not at a high spot. And at number 7, we have Anu Barak, who was killed in the Azul Narub dungeon in Wrath of the Lich King. Now, Anu Barak was a major character who helped Arthas get to the Frozen Throne before Iliad, and played a huge part in the Lich King's eventual success in that war. You see, a little backstory for Anu Barak. The Nerubians fought a war against the Lich King in Northrend, where they were actually doing a very good job of winning because they were naturally immune to the plague of undead. So the Lich King had to have his necromancers raise them manually if he wanted to recruit them into his ranks. And since Nerubians were also experts of guerrilla warfare, the Lich King was basically forced to have a war of attrition. And since he had an undead army that only got stronger the more he fought, he eventually won this war and was able to raise Barak as his most powerful minion. So when Arthas came back to Northrend because his powers were weakening, he had Anu Barak personally escort him to the Frozen Throne, and allowed him to navigate the underground city of Azul Narub to take a shortcut, and even helped fight Illidan's forces while the Lich King fought Illidan one-on-one. And so when Anu Barak finally appeared in World of Warcraft in the Wrath of the Lich King expansion, players were kind of disappointed to see that he was defeated as a dungeon boss in a pretty short dungeon. So Blizzard brought him back in the Trial of Crusader raid as the final boss. Kind of randomly, though. So they did eventually do him justice by making players kill him for a second time in the expansion. But the fact of the matter is, he originally was just killed as the end boss of the dungeon, despite his major lore character significance, and is a good example of what this list is all about. Except some of the others weren't given the luxury of also having a raid fight. And at number 6, we have Arcadus from the Oldemon dungeon. Arcadus is a Titan Keeper in the same vein as Odin, Rodin, Thorum, all raid bosses because of how powerful they are in lore. You see, the Titan Keepers were created to fight guild gods when they had a firm control of the planet, since the Titans themselves were too big to actually go onto the planet and fight them in a precise manner. And after the Titan Keepers won the war, they were basically left in charge of the planet while the Titans were away. But then the Titan Keeper Loken betrayed everyone, and Arcadus went into hiding with the Disc of Norgadon, which kept a record of everything that Loken had done. Loken was very desperate. The others weren't given the luxury of also having a raid fight. And at number 6, we have Arcadus from the Oldemon dungeon. Arcadus is a Titan Keeper in the same vein as Odin, Rodin, Thorum, all raid bosses because of how powerful they are in lore. You see, the Titan Keepers were created to fight guild gods when they had a firm control of the planet, since the Titans themselves were too big to actually go onto the planet and fight them in a precise manner. And after the Titan Keepers won the war, they were basically left in charge of the planet while the Titans went away. But then the Titan Keeper Loken betrayed everyone, and Arcadus went into hiding with the Disc of Norgadon, which kept a record of everything that Loken had done. Loken was very desperate to get these back, but he was never successful in that, as Arcadus was able to hold up an Oldemon and keep them safe. That was until a group of adventurers broke in, ransacked the place, woke Arcadus up, who had put himself in a deep sleep, and then just killed the guy like he was a random nobody. As far as I know, Arcadus is confirmed dead, and players were able to steal his treasures and the Disc of Norgadon, and I find that kind of funny. Now, all of this happened in Vanilla WoW when Titan lore wasn't super grounded yet, and the Titans were a little bit different in lore than what they eventually became after a long series of retcons. And even after all of those retcons, they still let Arcadis die to a random group of adventurers who came in to steal his stuff, which is actually pretty great. And at number 5, we have Kel'Thas Sunstrider. Now, technically, this character was killed in a raid. It's kind of like the reverse of the Moonerang, where he first shows up as the end boss of a raid, gets killed, gets brought back to life, then becomes a boss in a different dungeon later on in the expansion. So his final appearance in the game is as a random dungeon boss, and fits this list pretty well, because for those of you who don't know Kel'Thas' story, he was a major character in Warcraft 3, and eventually joins up with Illidan because the Alliance almost had him and his people executed. And all he wanted to do was cure his people's mana addiction after Arthas destroyed the Sunbone. And Illidan was too busy dealing with his demon hunters and Legion to help him out, despite the fact that he promised he would. Eventually, he got swayed by the Legion to join them, and then became a bad guy because Burning Crusade 4 was kind of weird, and Kel'Thas is pretty infamous for his line, Tempest Keep was merely a setback. And it's pretty much the example of Blizzard loving to reuse their characters as much as possible, since we will probably see Kel'Thas again in the Shadowlands. And at number 4, we have Murozond from the End Time Dungeon. Murozond is a major lore villain who's the leader of the Infinite Dragonflight, who is an army that has an infinite number of dragons that goes throughout time and just messes with things. The Infinite Dragonflight is actually such a big deal that there is at least one involvement with the Infinite Dragonflight in every single expansion. And the leader of this omnipresent threat was killed at the end of a dungeon, and that's basically canon for how he dies for reals. But then again, since he is an infinite time dragon, there's other versions of him out there still, so that doesn't really stop the threat. But, also based on his own lore, the way he dies is exactly as depicted in the End Time Dungeon. A bunch of random adventurers get sent there by his uncorrupted form, Dormu, and abuse the Time Stone in order to stop him because of his infinite dragonfly shenanigans. And because of the lore of this dungeon, they can't really have Murozond be a future raid boss without retconning this specific event, because the whole point of it was how this is exactly how Dormu will die, and if he dies in any other way, then it doesn't really make sense. So this super important boss, who has ties to almost every single expansion, basically has to stay a dungeon boss. But then again, they just kind of use him as a plot device in order to allow players to go back in time and see things anyway. I don't think it's that big of a deal. And at number 3, we have Ner'zhul from the Shadowmoon Burial Grounds dungeon in Warlords of Draenor. Now, this was the alternate universe Ner'zhul, so I guess it's not that big of a deal, but also, this character was so super important to lore that it's almost comical that he was defeated in a dungeon. As you see, Ner'zhul was the original Lich King, and was also the person who blew up Draenor and created the Outlands, and was the first leader of the Horde. All of those things are pretty important events, and in Warlords of Draenor, he was one of the warlords. But there were lots of problems with the story of Warlords of Draenor, and not all of the warlords actually got dealt with in raids, as some of them were even killed during quests, which is lower on the totem pole for major lore character deaths than appearing as a boss in a dungeon. Although considering how Ner'zhul was probably the most lore-important warlord out of all of them, it was quite a shock for everyone to find out that we'd be dealing with him in a dungeon, and kind of in an uneventful way. And that's why he takes such a high spot on this list, and could easily have taken the number 1 spot as well. I just put him at number 3, because it was technically the alternate universe version, so it's not as big of a deal. And at number 2, we have Murmur, Destroyer of Worlds, who appears in the Shadow Labyrinth dungeon of the Burning Crusade. Now, I'm sure most of you don't know who Murmur is. Basically, when the Shadow Council was trying to take Akhen'dun from the Draenei, they tried to use a new spell that killed Jaden Hatan to summon a powerful demon, since they were on the losing side. But they accidentally summoned Murmur instead, who is a cosmic entity from a faraway quarter of the universe, who's worshipped as a god by some planets, before he eventually kills them, since a single sigh from the actual creature is enough to destroy those planets. So what they summoned was an incomplete version of Murmur, which was enough to completely destroy and flatten everything in the immediate area, which definitely won the Shadow Council that battle. But since they had this avatar of a cosmic being in their control, took everything they had just to lock it away so it wouldn't destroy the rest of the Horde. So when players go into the Shadow Labyrinth and fight Murmur, what they're doing is just trying to push him back, and trying to stop the Shadow Council from fully summoning the actual Murmur into the world, because he's just too dang powerful to exist on a planet. Now, you'd think the essence of sound and destroyer of worlds would be a much bigger deal, and not relegated to some B-plot of a random dungeon. But then again, this was the Burning Crusade, where the lore was a whole bunch of B-plots strung together to try to create a coherent story. So really, it just kind of fit in with everything else. As in one of the adjacent dungeons, you get to kill an Eriko god in order to get a mount. So destroying a cosmic entity before you can enter the world and destroy the planet was kind of on the same level as everything else that was going on. And finally, at number 1, we have Loken, who was the final boss of the Halls of Lightning dungeon in Wrath of the Lich King. Now, Loken is another Titan Keeper just like Arcadus, except Loken is like the most important Titan Keeper out of all of them, as he's responsible for so many events that happened in Warcraft's history. You see, Loken was manipulated by Yogg-Saron through a long series of events, which eventually led Loken to betraying all the other Titan Keepers, imprisoning half of them, and causing the other ones to go into hiding, and releasing the Curse of Flesh upon the world, which is why all the characters in Warcraft are not made of stone and metal, as that's actually their default state. And this incredibly important lore figure canonically dies in the dungeon, and leads the way to the Ulduar raid with his death, where you find a whole bunch of other Titan Keepers who are properly raid bosses, and you eventually push Yogg-Saron back into his prison. And since Loken is involved in so many things, you can't really touch any of the stories of Northrend without Loken having some involvement in it. He is probably the biggest lore character who is actually important to the lore, and from the main timeline, that dies in the dungeon. But at least he went down as one of the hardest dungeon bosses of all time. Loken accumulated more dungeon deaths than any other boss in Wrath before Blizzard stopped announcing his stats. And Arcadus shared a pretty similar feat. He was an incredibly hard dungeon boss in Oldham, even if he was a low-level dungeon. So, even if he wasn't given a proper raid, at least he was a little threatening when he was current content. But he definitely takes number 1 spot for just being a very important lore villain who was finished off in a dungeon. Alright, and that's the list. Do you think I missed any other more important lore characters who were killed off as random dungeon boss?
The general urban
That's what I said.
work that I've done in the past, particularly with the Urban Explorers, has got me into a lot of trouble. I got arrested. All of the people that I worked with ended up getting arrested because the police got my fucking notes. And I mean, it was a terrible. How'd the police get your notes? It was a terrible situation. Well, I was going out with these Urban Explorers into all of this subterranean infrastructure underneath London, and after we went into those sewer systems, then we got into electricity tunnels. Then we started getting into bunkers. So
How legal is this stuff?
these are like layers under the city. So imagine there's like 5 layers under the city, right? So we go from the sewers to the electricity tunnels to the infrastructural systems to the bunkers, and then we started getting into what are called deep level systems, right? And they're very similar to the bunkers that the U.S. government is building here. They call DUNs, deep underground military bases, right? We started getting into like serious critical infrastructure. Like at some point,
How easy was it to get into those?
it took us years. It took us years. There was quite a lot of research. But I mean, at some point we got into what are called the BT deep level tunnels, British telecommunications deep level tunnels, and we were like inside the telecommunications trunk for all of the United Kingdom. And at this point we're like 100 feet underground, 120 feet underground. We were walking through this tunnel about 100 feet underground, and one of the explorers I was with, like, there's a manhole above us. He's like, what do you mean there's a manhole above us? We're in the deepest level right now. And we pop this manhole, and a camera swivels, and stares at us. Like, oh god, and then we realized we were into some critical shit. So it was just telecommunication hubs, right? It's just like the trunk of all of the infrastructure, the fiber optics, phone lines.
And they just have an exposed manhole cover and a tunnel that you can get to.
Dude, we wiggled from tunnel to tunnel, like through tiny crevices. We were getting into like the deep underbelly of the city. I mean, it was not easy to get to. But here's the thing: at the same time, we had been cracking all of the abandoned tube stations, metro stations. So we took a map of the tube from 1932, and we set a map from 2008 on top of it. And what you see are a bunch of stations that are no longer on the map. Right? That's your first clue. So there were like 40 stations. Then we started doing research, and we figured out that there's got to be at least 14 stations that still have like ticket offices, platforms. There's something there that you could find. So we started sneaking into the tube to go and find these places. Like we would wait till the train stopped at 2 in the morning, and then we would like climb up a bridge and get onto the tracks.
Oh my god.